Let's get to the money.
Let's get to the
Money.
Let's get to the
Money. Let's get to the motherfucking money.
Fuck the bookies, fuck the bookies. FTV screaming fuck the bookies, 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 fuck the bookies. FTV screaming fuck the bookies, fuck the bookies, fuck the bookies. Middle finger in your ass screaming fuck the bookies. Woke up in the morning, grab my little black book. Yesterday can eat a dick, cause we lost by the hook. Can't win them all, so you never see me get shook. Today's a new day, the bookmaker's getting cooked. When I spot a dirty keg of 4 units getting played, always find the value, I would never be afraid. Scared money don't win, but I'm not going all in unless I see a bet I love, then I put my balls on a bookie's chin. Let it all soak in, doubling my bread, winning money with my friends. If you got the itch and you wanna go big, follow Sharpie bets and you gon' really fucking win. This is not financial advice, it's entertainment. But if I find the right price, believe I'm parlaying it. You can see my spreadsheet, I'm winning, not just saying it. Profit in the green every week, I'm never negative. I can bet an ace or a shitty old picture. Pick the right spots cause I'm the K-pop whisperer. Shut up when I speak until you finally get the picture. I'm the best in the world, tell me you getting richer. Fuck the bookies, fuck the bookies. FTVs, fuck the bookies, fuck the bookies, fuck the bookies, fuck the bookies, fuck the bookies. FTV screaming fuck the bookies, fuck the bookies, fuck the bookies. Middle finger in the ass screaming fuck the bookies.
Let's get to the motherfucking monies.
Let's get to the motherfucking monies. Welcome to the best MLB prop show on God's green earth. I'm your host, Sharpie's Bets, and it's Friday, so you already know what that means. We got the only guy that I talk K-props with on this show. I know him as Chris. Y'all know him as Spin. And I know he's off to a good fucking start with his tout play. And I know that's why y'all are tuning in right now, too, though. So, how you doing, my boy?
Doing good. Tout play's been rolling. That'll be back tonight. The slate was too short the last few days. And then, actually yesterday was the first non-even or winning day that I've had for VIP in 8 days, I think. 7 or 8 days. So 0-1 because of Luis. Actually, it wasn't even Castillo. It was the Rangers. 3 Ks with 80 pitches and he hits 6. Yeah. So
should have been fucking 1-1, bro. We got robbed on Barrios, bro. We got robbed on Barrios.
Easily. That was never hitting ever.
Never. I still want my money back, bastard.
Uh-huh.
I want it. They gave me it back. I want it though. This show, guys, is not sponsored by no one. We're doing this out of our own generosity, so I do appreciate those that have found their way over to this channel. It is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern and 12 Pacific. On this show, guys, we will talk opening lines of a pitching prop as well as the closing K-prop line 30 minutes prior to the show going live. Do me a favor, if you like what you're hearing, smash that like button. If you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button as well. Today, guys, we have a reoccurring theme right here on the Balking Dead. Good matchups, and the books know about it. So enough small talk, and let's get to the monies. Corbin Byrne gets his shot at the A's, striking people out 25.5% of the time while walking people 4.5%. Morning line was 7.5 minus 124 on FanDuel, where the best line available is now on DraftKings at 7.5 minus 138. Pitching outs are 18.5 minus 200 juice to the under. Earned runs are at a 1.5 minus 135 juice to the under. They think he slaps today. Projected lineups is 5 lefties and 4 righties. Let's talk Corbin.
All right. Well, given his opponent, for those of you that have listened to me on this show and elsewhere for a while, you know I have what's called no under island. And those are teams where it doesn't really make a difference who's pitching, righty, lefty, major leaguer, minor leaguer, man, woman, I don't care. There's no possible way that you can go under, and the Oakland A's are one of those teams. The reasons why, pretty obvious when you look at their swing metrics. For pretty much the entire season, they have been dead last in chase contact in Major League Baseball, and not by a little either. Normally, you see, so the average for MLB teams is 62.6%. You have over half the teams that are within 1.5 to 2 percentage points of that one way or the other. So, and the standard deviation for that, which is what you can see between teams that are average versus teams that are above or below average, is about 3.7%. Now, Oakland is over 10% below that, 52.5%. So basically, every 2 times they chase, and they do it once in every 3 swings, they make contact. Otherwise, it's a big fat whiff. Now, you go over and you look at the inside the zone contact. MLB average is 85.7. They're at 82.8, bottom 5. This team has so much whiff potential. Here's my problem with Burns is the number doesn't bother me as much as the juice does, as paying juice for that big of a number when, by projections, it looks like they're going to run 4 to 5 lefties. And why that is important is this year, Burns is only K'ing lefties at 16.7% of the time. So if you put in that amount of lefties, you also have Toro, who's a switch hitter, who's probably going to, I'm sure, is going to bat lefty. And he's the one guy who actually makes good contact. It's a big number for me. It's a big number. I look at the whiff percentage on Burns's money pitches. For right-handed batters, that's the curve, and for left-handed, that's the slider. He does use the changeup in there too, but the big whiff pitches are the curve and the slider. And you look at some of these whiff percentages for some of these Oakland hitters. Ryan Noda, 57%. JJ Bleday, 40.6%. Brent Rooker, 63.6%, and he's K'ing against righties almost half of his plate appearances this entire season. Oakland swing metrics, their whole plate approach, everything about it is abysmal. My problem is that Burns has not really been able to get it done consistently against lefties. Oakland can send 5 up there. I'd be shocked if they didn't, and had Toro obviously batting lefty. It's a big number to pay juice for. If you can give me like plus money a little bit at this number, yeah, maybe then I'm interested. But for me, it's probably just a pass.
Oh, how the times have changed, brother, as we used to look for lefties with Corbin Burns.
We did.
But I think I may got something here. Corbin Burns gets his shot at the A's, and the books guys ain't playing. As if you want him, you're going to pay up. And that's going to be the theme of most of these guys today, guys. And if they don't make us pay up, we need to pay attention. The books pay attention to past history as well as an overall team's K percentage. And when they ignore it, we got to figure it out. And they ain't ignoring this one, guys. Is everybody and their mother this year where it don't matter who it is. They all get the Oakland tax, guys. So is what it is. And they're projecting a stacked lefty lineup, which happens to be what? Doesn't make sense, guys. It's like he said, he's only striking lefties out this year at a 16%. Where over his career, he's been 7% better versus the right-handed side and averaged a 29% K percentage throughout his career. This shit just doesn't add up to me, guys. Why hasn't he been striking them out? As his changeup has been his money pitch versus lefties throughout his career. And I go compare that to last season, and it's the same. So I've got to expect, guys, it's just been tough type of matchups for him when it comes down to it. And when I look at this projected lineup, I've got 6 guys in it who whiff. That's predominantly 2/3 of the lineup, guys. And if it was old school Burns, guys, we'd be slamming this 7.5. Something Chris told to me with Gosman versus the Yankees the first time. If you think Burns or if you think Gosman is Gosman, you fucking bet that 5.5. Now, if you think he's him from last year, I still can't get there. And I think he's still him from last year. I think he could shut down lefties. They've just adjusted it to the Oakland A's, guys. And when I go through the book last year, when he faced 8 different teams with a lineup who whiffed, he was only 2-6 to the over 7.5, averaging 7.2 strikeouts a game, as he did land on 7 3 times. So what I'm getting at is they jumped him up in those spots, and he came short as well, too. So if you're looking to play him, guys, pull him down 1 and figure out another way to get with it. As the books are keen to Oakland A's. We're not getting no love. So even if we think Corbin Burns is Corbin Burns, it don't fucking matter because he's playing the Oakland A's. So there'll be better times to get after Corbin Burns. And today, to me, just isn't one of them. If they bump a guy up, I leave them alone unless you can show me why I should bet you. And they did that to a guy later. And I'm going to fucking show you why I'm going to bet him.
Mm-hmm.
But on to the next guy. This is a guy me and Chris have spent a lot of talking to about today. Shota Amagna at the Red Sox, striking people out 25.5% of the time while walking people just 2.5%. Yeah. Opened him up at 6.5 at even money on DK. Woke up to him at 5.5 minus 140 on BetMGM, and now he's back up to a 6.5 plus 130 on FanDuel. Unless you want an unbettable minus 162, like we ain't talking them lines. Pitching outs are at 16.5 minus 120 each way, whereas earn runs are at 2.5 minus 155 juice to the under. Lineups came out, and I believe it was 6 righties and 3 lefties, not the 5 righties, 4 lefties they were projecting. Let's talk Shota.
All right. Well, I remember something that you taught me last year was there is a very repeatable and key way to attack the Red Sox last year, which many of their hitters carried over into this year, and that would be the splitter, which is Imaga's main put-away pitch for right-handed batters. He does use it against lefties as well, but primarily against right-handed batters. I look at the right-handers in the lineup, and I see Reyes has a whiff percentage of 40% against it. O'Neill is at 50. Bobby Dahlbeck is at 50. Connor Wong is at 50. Now, the splitter is not a very oft used pitch. The pitchers that use it decently in rotation, but you see, like, most pitchers will have a slider. Most pitchers will have a changeup. The splitter is not a very common pitch. So teams don't see it that often, and that's why it can work to their benefit. Now, Boston has a little bit of history behind it because they face Gausman a bunch of times per year, but that also gives us some more concrete numbers and history behind it versus some of these guys you go searching for, and you got to go, you go back 3 years and they've seen like 15 splitters. It's really hard to come up with a whiff percentage against that because who the hell knows who the pitchers were and the circumstances and whatever. But I look at this lineup too, and I look at, there are some absurdly bad K percentages against lefties in this lineup. Bobby Dahlbeck in particular, 40.7%, and he's also against a four-seam fastball. The normal whiff percentage against a four-seam fastball is somewhere between 22.5, 23.5, even 25 is not that bad. Bobby Dahlbeck this year is whiffing at 48.1% to a fastball, just a straight fastball. You also have other guys in the lineup. You have to the four-seamer. You have Rafaela, who's at 31.7. You have Reyes, who's at 34.8. You have Devers, that's at 31.8. I'm sorry. And if you can get a whiff, not even just a foul ball where they might put it in play, a straight up whiff, 1 out of every 3 times you're going to throw a pitch that you throw all 40% of the time, that is a great pathway to an over for a pitcher. The other thing that you have here is you have Shota is throwing a first pitch strike 64.6% of the time, and he's been against some swing happy lineups. MLB average is 61.5. So why is that important? Red Sox are one of the worst teams in the league for called strikes. League average is 16.7. They're all the way up at 17.4, which I believe is 6th or 7th worst, maybe even 5th worst in Major League Baseball. So if you got a guy that can throw a splitter to righties and a sweeper to lefties, breaking pitches that have a high potential for whiff, that have a high potential to get guys to swing out of the zone, which, by the way, Imaga makes people do 39% of the time, which is way above MLB average of 31. If you're going to stand there and take strike one, I told Sharpie this morning, we saw this with Yoshi. This is when we talked about it. It was last Friday or the Friday before. We talked about why we liked Yoshi against the Mets. It's because they stand there and take fastballs. Boston does the same thing. They've had one of the highest percentage of called strikes all season long. So if you're going to set them up like that, and you have guys that like Dahlbeck, Rafaela, Reyes, all these guys that whiff over 30% of the time, I think you can probably guess where I'm leading here. This leads to a pretty easy look at either over or nothing. And the more I look at their swing metrics, the more I'm just loving an over here and maybe even an alt over.
We've got 6 of the 9 sit here and take first pitch way over league advance, way over the league too, bro. I'm just literally doing the lineup as we talk, bro. This is getting me hyped up. Mind you, guys, we write everything in the morning, and then I go back and type in a little more, and I'm going to take you through my whirlwind of Shota today, guys, and what I go through in my own fucking head. As he gets the Red Sox, and they opened them up at 6.5 plus money last night, and I went sleeping thinking he's going to take money to the over. and woke up to him dropping to a 5.5 with some heavy juice. Now, I didn't bet it, but it doesn't make sense to me, as he should have opened at a 6.5 like he did versus the Mariners, as the Red Sox over the last 200 plate appearances are walking at a nice clip. But when you don't fucking walk people, who gives a damn? And yet they're striking out league worst 30% of their at-bats, guys, with a middle-of-the-pack isolated power. So let's go see who they've seen in this time span with these terrible fucking numbers. As Detmer's seen him twice, and we talked about how the slider is actually a difference maker this year versus lefties. And he did the damn thing both games. 12 and 6 innings, and then he backed it up on a back-to-back with 7 the next week. And that's all they have seen that I would put my money on an over on. As they've seen the Mariners, who ain't got a lefty, the A's, who ain't got a lefty, the Orioles, you want to bet fucking Cole Irvin? He's an under candidate, and the Pirates, who once again don't have a lefty that I would bet on. As well as the Guardians, they didn't even see Logan Allen, who's been making me some under money as of late. So now I got to see these lineups, guys, as do the Red Sox really want to run out this many lefties versus Shota? As his K percentage is 2% better versus lefties in this young season. And this man has some elite numbers when it comes to batting average against, on-base percentage, and slugging. But it is better versus his own side. And like most side stud lefties, it should be. Now, his walk percentage is a stupid 2.5% this season. He's a strike thrower. He hasn't walked a lefty all year. Knock on fucking wood. Call it what you. I don't want to jinx him now, guys. But he owns his side of the plate. I was going to wait for lineups, guys. I was going back and forth. I didn't understand why the line dropped. I'm like, what is it? Why did people really bet the under? Someone must have hammered the fucking under for the books to adjust it like that overnight. Now, I'm paranoid at this point in my betting career this year, guys. Is I've got to see at least 6 guys in the lineup, which is 2/3, to either go over or under, or if it's just 5 and 4 of what I'm looking for, then I've got to let it go. We've got 6 guys in this lineup who are striking out 28% or more versus lefties on the season. That's a check mark. Now, the 3 out of the top 4 don't, which may be a headache in the end, but Devers punches out to the splitter. And I think we can get Devers. O'Neill can also be got too, who technically is the tougher guys who don't strike out versus lefties, guys. So I need to still go through. I just did the first pitch part. And by the end of the show, you will know if I bet Shota or not. And it's leaning towards the, yes, I'm going to take Shota at the plus money, as I wouldn't have taken the juice anyways if it was still there at the juice. I would have either took it over at the plus money or not. I think this guy has a fucking day today, guys. At the end of the day, he's only faced one team. Seattle Mariners, guys, if you want to look at their type of freaking numbers. Let me pull it up so I don't freaking knock it and give you some wrong stats. But
I talked about I was just going to say, while you're doing that, I talked about no under island earlier in the show. The Mariners have a residency there now too. Them, the Rockies, the Twins, and the A's are the current live-in residents on no under island for yours truly.
He says the current.
Oh no, it switches. It adjusts throughout the year.
Okay, that's what I was going to bring up. It's not even in the stats, guys. I was talking to Chris about it earlier. Like, there's a reason why he didn't hit that over versus Seattle, guys, and it wasn't in the numbers. The numbers said, fuck, this guy's going to have a day. And Chris called me that day, was like, man, this got to be the titty capper play of the day, bro. I was like, bro, I seen something against Yoshi, bro. Like, I was watching a spring training game, listening to it on the radio or whatever, and Yoshi had 5 Ks in the first time through the lineup. These guys are strike throwers versus a team who whiffs. You don't want to take first pitch and whiff, guys, at the end of the day. Now, when you look at Boston and Seattle's numbers when it comes to whiff, Boston's a top 5 team right now when it comes to whiffing in baseball. You wouldn't normally think that about Boston. Do you know who the only other top 5 team you've seen this year, guys? Colorado fucking Rockies. Okay? And Seattle learned first time through the lineup versus these Japanese pitchers, guys, we got to just ambush them. We got to fucking swing. We got to fucking swing early, because if we get down, we're going to get clacked. They learned it early in the season. This is something Boston ain't picked up on. Boston ain't seen this, man. Boston ain't ready for what's about to happen, guys. So the more and more I'm getting at, guys, is I was so scared. I was like, oh, they dropped those Ks. well, who's betting the under? Are the books begging for over money? And then I got to look at it. It's NBA playoff time. It's NHL playoff time. They've got full cards of every which thing else, guys. They're moving it as the money comes. They're happy right now. They are fucking happy. They've got their under money. They got their over money. Now, if he lands on, they don't care. He can land on fucking 6. Then the freaking oh no, then they're fucked, huh? No, then my over 6.5's dead.
Yeah.
There's no way they get middled. There's no way they get middled.
One the other way. Yep.
And that's what they want, guys. At the end of the day, they ain't trying to get fucking middled, guys. They want money each way. They'll take the vig and run. And then I was like, oh, they dropped his outs. Oh, they're telling me he's going to get clacked. No, they dropped his fucking outs because he's 1-2 over the last 3 weeks to 17.5. That's why they dropped his outs. Mm-hmm. Stop fucking overthinking and fire, bro. And that's what I'm going to probably end up doing, guys, is firing on Shota. I'll let you know that within very few more minutes. Zach Eflin, guys, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say just 2 more quick things. Number one is one way to do it as well as if you don't want to drink the juice at the 5.5 or 6+ is what it also might be listed as. You can always take them up to 7, which would be at plus money and only do a half unit or a partial unit bet. I have a strong suspicion that if he hits 6, he's hitting 7. Sharpie talked about getting middled. When you look at these whiff percentages, when you look at the forecasted whip that he's supposed to have, which is actually under 1, because he walks so few guys, because he throws strikes and the Red Sox takes him. I mean, all of those things add up where if you're a little gun shy about being like, I don't know if I want to roll out a minus 150 against a guy who just got 4 against the Mariners. I get it. I totally understand and wouldn't blame you. You can also put any kind of alt under at 7.5 into, you can do it in a parlay, you can do it as a standalone at plus money. Because like I said, I strongly believe if he gets 1, he's either getting both or he's getting neither. And then the other thing, to Sharpie's point, these are days that you can really find value in certain MLB matchups because of what he said about how many high dollar value, meaning handle, like amount wagered, how many high handle events are tonight with the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, every Major League Baseball team playing. It was the opposite when we saw, for example, a couple Mondays ago when we had Jackie Robinson Day, because yes, every baseball team played, but how many other sporting events were going on that day? Like nothing. NCAA was over. NHL playoffs hadn't started yet. NBA regular season was over. So that's where their attention goes. For some of these games, including a few of the other ones that we're going to talk about, the books are more than happy to let the computers do the work. And like Sharpie said, as long as they're taking in money and adjusting the line via algorithm as the money comes in, they're fine. Their attention is going to be much more focused on all of the events tonight that are going to be much more watched than some of these baseball games.
Man, what the hell are the A's doing, bro? I might have to end up getting on fucking Burns these guys. As I always tweet out what I'm on the days we have the show, but
I mean, lefties they go with.
It's not even I'm not worried about they're taking out the guys who don't whiff. Like they took out fucking Allen. That guy wasn't gonna strike out anyways. Like,
that's true.
Are you gonna give me more guys? They're gonna lead off with Ruiz. They got Langers in this lineup, bro. Like, all right. They've got fucking Roker in this lineup. They got Toro, who's not going to strike out. Like you said, that's a guy who ain't got the strikeout. They added Butler. Oh, no, Butler wasn't it. Okay, he's a bum. All right, yeah, they've got everybody in it, bro, except they took out one dude who wasn't supposed to strike out and put in Schumann.
It's over or nothing. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line with really anybody against the A's is that if the over doesn't have value, if you can't get there on the over, just pass. Because even if the numbers are saying that, oh, well, he's forecasted for, or the line is 7.5, he only forecasted for like 6.5. against teams that have such a high whiff percentage, let's say low contact percentage on chase contact, you always have to add 1 to 2 extra on there because of how often they're going to just hack at stuff that is way outside the zone and not make contact. So that is reason 1A why, to me, that I call it no under island exists, where even if the under is at crazy plus money, I just delete it because I don't want to be tempted.
I didn't think this game was going to go today, but we were still going to talk about the next guy that's on the board, guys, because I really wanted to bet him whether it comes to being today or tomorrow. The storm has came early, and it's showing about 7 p.m. my time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern time. They should have all clear skies in Chicago for baseball. So if they want to push this back a couple hours, they're getting this fucking game in today, fellas. So let's talk Zach Eflin at the White Sox. Striking people out at a 22% clip while walking people just 2% of the time. Opened them up 5.5 plus 105 on DraftKings. Best line available is plus 112 on FanDuel. Pitching outs not available. Earn runs 1.5 minus 135. Juice to the over. Projected lineup is 5 righties, 4 lefties. Let's talk Eflin.
All right. So the White Sox obviously are a very poor team. I mean, you can look at their record and you can tell that. You can look at their offense and you can tell that. Swing metrics when it comes to strikeouts, I mean, they're not good, certainly, but they're not terrible either. They are below league average in chase rate. They are slightly below league average in chase contact. They are slightly above average in contact inside the zone. And for swinging strike rate, they're right about at league average. So they have a lot of league average swing metrics. It's just the fact that they can't string hits together or get guys on base or keep them there. So when I look at Eflin, Eflin has had a decent start to the year. He's got some average lefty-righty splits, righties a little bit more. But the big thing with Eflin is, as usual, does not walk anybody like ever. He's got an absolutely absurd 1% walk rate, which you might think, okay, we'll go back past seasons, that's an aberration. No, he's not that low, but he's always got a very, very low walk percentage. And the reason why he has a low walk percentage is that MLB average for pitchers of percentage of pitches that are in the zone is 48.6. Eflin's up at 59. So he's always been a pitcher that has put the ball in the zone and challenged the hitters to make contact. This year, it's a lot. 60% of pitches in the zone is a lot. Now, when he puts that ball, or when he does get people to put the ball outside the zone, he gets people to chase at about league average. And he also has a 52% chase contact compared to an MLB pitcher average of 58. I think with the White Sox, just because of the fact that their offense is just absolutely anemic, and there is a high potential that if this game goes and he goes the whole game, and given Eflin's, even if you take into account his average line when it comes to innings, because as of like 15, 20 minutes ago, there wasn't an innings prop. If you take the average, his forecasted whip is 1.029, which means that he's probably going to have a pretty good outing. I just can't get there on the over for strikeouts. I can't get there because there's not, to me, I don't see enough correlating things. I see a lot of things that Eflin does decently well that the White Sox kind of do average, maybe below average. But unlike Burns or even like Shota, what we just talked about, where you have some guys with these obscene whiff percentages, and as a team, they have an obscene strikeout percentage. White Sox don't have that. I think if you are going to play it, you're probably looking at the over or nothing, just because of, based on what Eflin's other lines are at, there is a pretty good chance that he goes out and has himself an outing. So it's over or nothing for me, but for me, it's officially nothing.
Oh, well, I've got something for you,
Give it to him.
As we talk about keys, bro, and this motherfucker's in the driver's seat with what I use, guys. And we have a game where Eflin is in a good matchup if you look at what I like to use versus him. Now, the problem is, over the last 15 days, these White Sox, they're not walking whip-de-fucking-do. like you said, this guy don't walk people, striking people out at a 27% clip, and they're the worst team in the league when it comes to isolated power. So you can project Eflin to be out there longer. And we got a 5.5 at plus money. I started today off, guys, with everyone we are talking about is in good matchups, and the books know this. They look at K percentages overall, guys, so they should have adjusted it, right? Wrong. Eflin was a 4.5 last week versus a Yankees team not punching out, and a 6.5 both time versus an Angels team who at the time coming into them was punching out, but like you can't put much into those numbers that early into the year. And yeah, bro, at the end of the day, first thing you should do, you should go look at, if you think the line don't make sense, is weather. As yesterday, me and Spin yesterday both looked at Barrios and were like, juice to the under? Shouldn't it be juice to the over?
Especially
like,
at 4.5.
Yeah, and we're like, bro, like this don't make sense. And then we look at the weather and we're like, yeah, we still want it. Even if they play, fuck you guys, we'll pay the juice. And it is what it is, guys. Now I'm seeing 70% chance of rain at start. It's full-blown raining right now when I throw the weather on. It wasn't supposed to come for like 2 more hours. And that's great news. That's great news because I expected this thing to come back at like a 5.5, minus 130, minus 140 if they played tomorrow. If not, plus money on the 6.5 with that K percentage we're looking at. And I don't fucking care about that K percentage, guys. That's nice. That's nice. I'll take it, guys, at the end of the day. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bitching. Now, there's small past history in this lineup, guys, as Eflin's only seen the 6 projected. No more than 7 at bats with a 23% lifetime clip strikeout rate. And they have the ability to put Pilar in, who's only struck out 1 of his 10 at bats versus Eflin. So he'll probably be in the fucking lineup. And the books probably knew that too, if you want to look at the plus money. Like we talked about it the other day with Sheets or certain buddy. They know if a guy don't struggle versus a guy, he's probably getting fucking put in that day. Like coaches aren't dumb, guys, at the end of the day. So I do want to see the lineup. But this projected lineup has, like I said, my freaking key. My freaking key. And that's whiff. We talked about it with Shota, guys. These guys that don't walk people, you need people that whiff, guys, at the end of the day. And when we go through this lineup, we have 6 guys in this lineup that are whiffing at least 1.5% worse than league average, with 5 of them being 3% or worse than league average when it comes to whiff, guys. And if you're going to give me 2/3 of a lineup that he dominates when he sees, I've got to get in. Last year, he's seen 10 teams with the lineup that whiffed. He was 8-2 to the over, averaging 6.8 strikeouts a game. And the 2 he lost, he got smacked and didn't make it 3 innings. That'll happen if you don't show up, guys. Like, you can do all the work you fucking want. They still got to show up and do theirs. And then they were up by 10 runs after 6 innings on 74 pitches, and they sent his ass back to the bench and said, have a good day. If you can't tell by my voice, I was on him that day. But at the end of the day, he was 8-2 when I ran him versus a lineup who whiffed. Right now, we got 6 guys in this lineup who fucking whiff, guys. And if you're going to give me that versus Zach Eflin, a guy who averages damn near 7 strikeouts a game, I'm going to take it. I got my strikeout and a half over what I'm trying to get. If something goes wrong and he dies by the hook of his average, I still fucking win. So now that the rain's out, I'm waiting for lineups, obviously. If I get 6 or more, I'm fucking in there like swimwear, guys. And there's a few guys I've got today in spots where they hit at stupid rates. They are averaging at least 1.5 more strikeouts than what we're getting. And these are the spots I got to get in on, guys. And I think Eflin's going to have a fucking day. I really do. Anything else?
Nope, not for him.
Do I want to pay the juice on the next guy? Nathan Eovaldi versus the Reds. Striking people out at a 23% clip while walking people 10% of the time. Who are you, Blake Snell, man? Morning line 6.5, minus 146 on FanDuel. It's still minus 142 on FanDuel to that 6.5. A lot of other places are more juice than that, and they are not budging off that 6.5. Pitching out 17.5, minus 150 juice to the over. Earn runs 2.5, minus 155 juice to the under. Projected lineup is 5 lefties, 4 righties. Let's talk Eovaldi.
All right, Nasty Nate. I tried so hard to get there with him. I really did. Joe, spoiler, it's going to be a pass, but let me explain to you why. And this was a hard pass. I have not this was a difficult pass to do. So first, against righties, Reds are King at 28.1%. Obviously good. You have Nate, who has an 85th percentile chase rating and an 82nd percentile whiff rating. Why is that important? Well, it's important because when you match it up against the Reds' swing profile, you see a few things. Number one, they are slightly below league average in swing percentage outside the zone. They are slightly under average as well in contact rate. Everything for them is pretty well average. There's a few things that are better, worse, etc. But the thing that's way under for them, league average for swinging inside the zone is 68.4. Reds are at 65.8. They take a lot of pitches and they're not afraid to go down 0-1. Their swinging strike rate as a result for a team that strikes out this much is actually at league average. Normally, when you see a team that has a K percentage above 25, like the Reds do, is that you normally see that their swinging strike percentage is above league average. Case in point, the Oakland A's, who we just talked about. Other case in point, my Minnesota Twins, all of them are in the 12 to 13, 14 range and beyond, the Rockies, etc. They're all in that range, but Cincinnati is not because they take pitches. So now, why does that matter? Well, number one is because Eovaldi only has a 39th percentile walk rating this year. His overall walk rating this year is at 9.8%. And he's flirted with multiple walks at pretty much every start. First strike percentage as well is only 60.7%, which is one of the lower marks of his career. So when I look at a guy like Eovaldi, who has, at least one for sure, kind of like Shota does with the splitter, that just killer breaking pitch, they have to be able to get early strikes across to get guys down in the count so that then they don't know what's coming. They don't know what to set up for. And then you can throw a splitter that drops off the table and basically bounces to the plate and they might swing at it. But the Reds don't do that. So here's what I need to see. Is Nate going to paint the zone early with strikes because he has a team that takes a lot of pitches, so it can be done, which will then set up those breaking pitches later? Or is he going to be kind of all over the place, as he's been in a few starts this year, which is going to actually play into one of the few strengths swinging in their swing profile that the Cincinnati Reds have. I talked about how MLB pitcher average is 48.6 for pitchers, and you have Eovaldi who's at 46.2. Eovaldi does get people to swing in the zone above league average, but this Reds team won't do it. So what I need to see, I'm not saying that I'm not going to take this one at all. I'm just not going to take it to start with because I need to see him throw early strikes. I need to see him get strike one. His first strike percentage, 63.6% is his career average. He's down to 60.7% this year. I talked about already, it's one of the lowest marks of his career. So I need to see him throw early strikes. If he does, I will happily look to jump on something in game. But officially to start, it's a pass.
What if they give us Bill Miller? He'll give him the outside.
Yeah, no kidding.
Bro, CB Buckner did the Detroit game earlier. Oh,
yeah.
They both ended up with 8+ or something like that, dude.
Yeah.
Bad travel spot.
For that game hasn't been announced yet.
No, that's why I brought that up. But the for the Chicago game has, and he is a pitcher-friendly umpire, in Chris Segal.
Yes. For Boston and yeah, I just saw that. Chris Segal is a pitcher's umpire.
Yes, sir. I like when their K boost goes up. It's like cha-ching.
K boost up to 7%, higher than others. Yep.
Yeah, I like that. I'm learning from you, bro. I used to remember there was a time I never fuck these umpires. I did my fucking capping. Oh yeah, you'll fucking learn you some when you're betting under on Bill Miller.
Miller.
You'll wait for fucking shit to come out, guys.
Or or an over on Alfonso Marquez.
Oh God, dude, I knew about him though with Jacob deGrom.
Oh yeah.
Man, Nathan Eovaldi, guys, he now gets his shot at the Reds, where last year he's seen them went 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 7 punch-outs. And we look at their numbers now, they're walking at an elite clip, like my guy was just saying, striking out dang near 27% of the time, and damn near 10th in the league in isolated power. As well as a bad K percentage, they are bottom 10 when it comes to whiff and bottom 6 in chase contact. And when Eovaldi got a lineup last year who whiffed, he was 6-1 to this K prop over, depending where they had him set at. And these were all games before the injuries, guys, because he did go to the IL, come back, was on pitch counts, and faced a couple other teams getting ready. I didn't look at those ones. These are all games prior to his injury and going to the IL last year. 6-1 when he faced a team who whiffed, or a lineup who whiffed, averaging 8.4 strikeouts a game. And we've got 6 guys in this projected lineup, guys, that have a whiff percentage of at least 2% worse than league average or worse. Now, I had to go look at his splits, guys, over his careers, guys, as he's owned lefties. Yet his K percentage, not so much. Yet this year, they still ain't hitting him, and his K percentage is flipped. As he's now striking out lefties, he just ain't striking out righties this year. So let's make sure his pitch mix to righties is up to par. As his fastball is where it should be on its vertical and horizontal, it's actually up a little bit. Yet his curveball's down, and his slider is down drastically, guys. It's down like 5 inches of break right now. This man, through his career, has been elite at not walking people. I was able to count on whiff because he didn't walk people. Now, 10%? Like I watched the game versus Oakland because I had his outs. This man last year was, I believe, 7 to 10% better with ground ball to fly ball rate. It's flipped. He is not a ground ball pitcher this year. He's looking to punch out everybody. He's running like freaking 7, 8 pitches a fucking batter because he's trying to pitch to everybody. And that goes back to what he said about the first pitch strike, guys. So it is so hard for me right now not to bet him, because its lineup is going to favor him. This lineup would say, hey, if this was him from last year, he would have 8.4 strikeouts. But to me, he ain't the guy from fucking last year. And I need to see him get right. I need to see him getting his ground balls. This guy normally looks to go deep. That ain't been Eovaldi this year, guys. Now, if you get an umpire that's going to give you those outside edges, you're in for a long day, guys. This dude does throw 4 or 5 pitches in octopus status. Have a good time. And, yeah, sliders down. Like, nothing into this says Sharpie go pay minus 150. Like, nothing other than the lineup that whiffs, guys. So, if I was going to play Eovaldi, I would take him up to plus money. But that would be the day this fool finally goes and pitches the contact and gets fucking 12 ground balls. Yeah.
And with the umpire there, well, actually there's 4, but one of them has already been announced for a different game tonight. Mike Estabrook is out in New York. But when the umpires are announced, for me to even consider it, I would need Bill Miller would work for sure. Phil Cousy is another.
Rayburn?
Probably not even him. Doug Eddings would probably do it for me, and maybe Ryan Blakeney, however you say it. Rayburn, I would take another look at it, but the list of umpires, especially because of what I mentioned, that the Reds take a ton of pitches in the zone. The list of umpires that I would need to consider that to get that many extra strikes is pretty small.
Yeah, I don't know if I skipped over it, but 6-1, guys, he was last year when he faced the lineup who whiffed, and this projected lineup has 6 guys in it who whiff. Now, that was last year. If you still think like, oh, yes, Eovaldi, that's on you. I'm not saying not to go bet it. I'm letting you know why I haven't got there, why I haven't just like slammed my fucking bank account on minus 150. That's a lot of juice for a guy, guys, who may walk himself out of public. So, at the end of the day, the one time he did lose, do you remember the game, Chris? It was a titty capper play. He played the Angels.
Of course I do.
He went 8 innings and had 5 strikeouts.
Of course I remember.
Like, you were like, bro, like, why is it 5.5? Like, what the fuck are they doing right here? Like, and I'm like, bro, I can't get there. Like, this is bad. This is bad. And he went 8 innings and had 5 strikeouts that day.
Eflin did that against somebody last year too, where his line was down, and then he against a high strikeout team. It was at home too. It might have even been against the. I don't know if it was against the A's. It was against somebody who was high. It was high strikeout, and he went like 7 2/3 innings and had like 3 strikeouts. I'm like, what?
Dude, it's crazy, bro. It is. It really is. All right, guys, let's get into this next guy on the board. And before we do, if you like what you're hearing, smash that like button. If you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button as well. We've got Zach Gallen at the Mariners striking people out. That can't be right. That can't 36.5. No, that can't be him, is it? No. Okay, no. I was like, that must be the guy from yesterday or the last time I did this show. I usually fill in the blank. So my bad. Morning line was 7.5 plus 120 on DraftKings. The best line available is 6.5 minus 158 on FanDuel, or plus 120 to the 7.5 pretty much everywhere else. Pitching outs is 17.5 minus 130 juice to the under, whereas earned runs 2.5 minus 140 juice to the under as well. Projected lineup is 5 righties and 4 lefties. Let's talk Zach Gallen.
I want to see a lineup on this one, but the Mariners are on no under island, so it's over or nothing. So that's why I'm waiting, and that's what I'm looking for, just to be transparent. There's a few things that I love about this one, and then there's a few things where I'm like, cause for concern for such a big number. Number one is, despite the fact that the Mariners have been basically a team to just pick on mercilessly for strikeouts pretty much the entire year. Over the last week and a half or so, their swing metrics have actually improved. They're being significantly more patient. They're not making contact that much better, but they're being more patient. The other thing that I noticed about this Mariners lineup is, especially on the projected one, Gallen's four-seam fastball, which, by the way, is only generating an 11.9% whiff rate this year. And even in games where he's hit his strikeout props, he doesn't really get guys to miss with this fastball. It's the other two pitches, slider and curve, that are getting the misses. I look at the Seattle lineup and I only see one guy, and that's Haniger. Two guys, Haniger and Garver, who are over 25% whiff rate to a four-seam fastball. There's 5 of them that are, or I'm sorry, 6 that are 20 or under 20%. So now you got to go over to the breaking balls. And there are some high whiff percentages in there. Haniger at 47, Garver at 42, Luke Raley at 50. And by the way, Luke Raley also against righties this year, and this is an actual stat, is K'ing at 53.8% against righties. So Dylan Moore, same thing, K'ing almost 60% of the time in not a short number of plate appearances either. So the bottom of this lineup is just ridiculously full of guys who can easily strike out twice. My problem with this is that as of right now, Gallen is only projected for 23, 24, depending on how you do the math. I ran my numbers at 23.5 because I wanted to see the exact number it came out at. About 23 or 24 plate appearances. So that gives him 6 total plate appearances potentially against the bottom of this lineup who could be walking strikeouts. So I need to see how this lineup is constructed. I want to see if Haniger's in. I want to see if Garver's in. I want to see where Ty France is batting because he's a very low strikeout candidate. I want to see what they do with Polanco. I need to see a lineup, but with the Seattle Mariners, forever and always this year so far, it is it is over or nothing. This team just quite simply cannot be trusted to not whiff through breaking balls. Yep. I think you're on mute, Sharpie.
My bad, bro. I'm already like, you're talking and I'm like, I'm looking more and more and more and more and more. Giants, St. Louis, New York. Just wanted to check a stat before I go into my spiel. Giants, top 10. St. Louis, middle of the pack. New York. All right. Yeah, perfectly. That's what I thought was happening here. Zach Gallen, guys, he gets his first 7.5 of his motherfucking career. Okay? Hasn't happened to this dude before. I write shit down fucking nothing higher than a 6.5 last year. And I get it. And y'all know I don't chase unless you show me I can run with you. But they had to put this guy at a 7.5 as Gallen over the first 2 weeks wasn't Gallen. And since then, guys, he's seen one team with a K percentage like the Mariners and a team who whiffs like the Mariners, and he put up a 10 fucking pack versus the Rockies. Now the Mariners remember that, a 10 pack. That's going to come back later on. Now the Mariners, guys, over the last 15 days versus right-handed pitchers, they're walking at an elite clip, striking out 26.5% of the time with a middle-of-the-pack isolated power. Well, as being bottom 8 in whiff percentage and bottom 3 in chase contact, tells me I may want some Gallen today, guys, as there are 6 guys in this projected lineup who whiff 2% or more worse than league average, and you don't want to do that versus Gallen. As last season, he faced a team who whiffed 7 times, going 6-1 to the over on his K prop, averaging 9 strikeouts a game. Let me say that again. He averaged 9 strikeouts a game, and that was with a 2 strikeout game versus Philadelphia, guys, and he's actually had really bad strikeout numbers versus that team throughout his career. That's his hometown team, too. You'd think he'd pitch a little better there, but no. He's always had low strikeouts when going up against Philadelphia. Not counting postseason, go through his regular season. Don't fucking DM me, you sons of bitches, because they probably put him at a 4.5 in the postseason, and I bet it probably. So the fact is, guys, is he struggled versus them, and if you take out that one game where he struggled, this man averages 10 strikeouts a game in those other 6. That's where I said, remember that 10 he had versus the Rockies, guys. It comes back to that number. I really think he may be in a ladder spot if they put the right lineup. It really does matter, lineups to me. It's a giant number. They have the ability to put 7 guys who whiff or drop it down to 5 guys. So it's a big number. I have no problem going for it, as when you give him the lineup that whiffs, he averages freaking 9 strikeouts a game, guys. And that's a strikeout and a half over of what I'm asking for. A case of some reason he doesn't hit his average. Now, can he rack up 10 strikeouts and not go 6 innings? Go look at that fucking Rockies game when I was on the outs. Yes, he fucking can.
Sure can.
So
against this team, he can.
Yeah. So yes, I will be looking to back Gallen. I just need the right lineups, guys. As right now, the only ones not whiffing is Rojas, France, and more. And they're spread out all the way through that lineup, guys. So I'm all right with that. Nothing like straight up at the top, where I am keep going back to thinking about Shota. It's like, 3 of the guys right now I got to do deep dives in, bro, because it says they're not striking out the lefties. But like I said, what fucking lefties have they seen besides Detmers? And do they struggle versus his pitches? So got to go dig into him. But before we do, let's finish the day and talk about what's been the best thing to freaking K-prop overs, bro, to lefties, and that's the Pittsburgh Pirates over the last few years. And Kyle Harrison now gets his shot. Striking people out 21% of the time while walking people 4.5% on the year. Morning line was 5.5, minus 125 on DraftKings. Best line available, minus 120 to that 5.5, and that's on MGM. Pitching outs is at 15.5, minus 120 juice to the under. Earned runs are at a 2.5, minus 145 juice to the under as well. Let's talk Kyle Harrison.
All right, Mr. Kyle Harrison. I had heard some buzz in spring training about him, and I hadn't really followed him. And I've actually watched 3 of his, two for sure. I think maybe part of another one. Third start, pretty traditional pitcher, but I like a lot of his stuff. And what I like about it and why it pertains to this is that Harrison spends 54.9% of his time in the zone, which I've mentioned earlier. MLB average for pitchers is 48.6. So he spends a lot of time in the zone. You go over and you try to correlate that with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And this is before you even get into their metrics against lefties, which, as Sharpie very accurately mentioned, are I'll get to that in a second. But Pirates inside the zone, league average is 85.7 for contact. They're down at 84. And then you go look at Harrison in the zone. He allows 86.6 for contact compared to a pitcher average of 82. But now he gets a team that is under league average and also takes a lot of strikes. League average is 16.8. Pirates are at 17.3. Actually, lately, it's been even higher than that. So with a guy that spends this much time in the zone, this is the game, honestly, this is the game that I want Bill Miller to umpire. Because if Bill Miller is umpiring this game, with how much the Pirates can take, because they're under league average in swing rate in both outside and inside the zone, and just period. They're about 3% under league average for swings. If I can get a solid umpire who's going to give me some of the spots that Harrison likes to work, especially with his slurve and with his changeup, which that is in the slurve runs in the 4 to 5 area if you're looking at a clock, and the changeup runs in the 9 to 10 area. So if I'm going to get a guy who's going to give me some of those either up and in or low and away corner strikes, I want over all the way here. And that goes back to what Sharpie was talking about. That's even before we get to the Pirates against lefties. Now, 291 plate appearances this year, a 26.1% strikeout percentage, which is one of the worst in Major League Baseball. You also have a pitcher in Harrison where I'm not sure how many lefties the Pirates are going to send to the plate tonight, whether it's Sawinski and a few others, or maybe it's none. They would be wise to not send that many, because Harrison K's lefties at 36.7% of the time. He makes guys chase when he does go outside the zone. And even better, against lefties this year, the Pirates are walking at 11.8%. However, Harrison is in the 88th percentile for walk rate. When he's at home, it's even better. So for me, I am hoping that I get the right lineup, and I'm hoping that I get even a slightly pitcher slanted umpire with a little bit wider of a zone, and who can get those early strikes, because then you can take advantage of the whiff potential. So for me, I have a heavy lean on the over here. If you want to bet it now, I don't blame you one bit.
Let's talk it and end our day with Kyle Harrison versus these Pittsburgh Pirates. Like I said, they have been God's gift to overs to left-handed pitchers over the year, guys. Let me talk to you. As over the last 200 plate appearances, like he said, they're walking top 10 in the league, bottom 3 isolated power, and they're striking out 26.5% of their at-bats. And we get a 5.5 with Harrison after being a 4.5 to his division, Diamondbacks, Padres, and Dodgers, and was a 5.5 versus the Nationals and Marlins, which really don't make sense to jump them up, as their K percentage has been way better than league average when it comes to lefties, yet they both are top 10 in chase percentage. And the Pirates this year, guys, are top 6 in the league when it comes to not chasing, yet bottom 6 at making contact if they do chase, guys. And when I look at Harrison, he's 3% higher than league average when it comes to making people chase. So that's a plus to a team that doesn't chase. But yet if they do, God forbid they go strike the fuck out, or at least whiff at the time. So let's go see who the Pirates have faced as they open the year, guys, versus the Marlins, and they smacked Puck. And Puck is nothing what I thought he was going to be, and he's on the IL now and literally has looked like trash in every freaking game he's played. They smacked Luzardo, who really until the last game didn't even look the right, but as my boy today was looking to fade him until they sent him to the IL, he just ain't been the same either, guys. So who have they faced? Mackenzie Gore, he had 6 strikeouts and 5.1 innings of work. They missed Skubal in the Detroit series. Ranger Suarez had himself 8, where Christopher Sanchito had 6 in 6 innings. Then, guys, they faced the Red Sox, Brewers, and Mets team, all who don't have a lefty I would look to bet. So I'm telling you, it's hard not to get there, guys. And when I go look back at who he's faced since he's been in the big leagues, this man hasn't had so many good spots to go bet this guy if you're looking at who he's faced. Last year, he faced only 3 teams that were striking out at a high clip. And like Pittsburgh today, he had 5, 5, and 11, depending on the game. As well as this year, he just ain't seen a team who's had a K percentage above 22% versus a lefty. So I want to back Harrison today, guys. But as always, we need lineups, lineups, as this projected lineup is ass. They are walking league average with an isolated power of 0.72. League average is $140, guys. Bad is 100. Terrible's 100. They're less than that right now, guys. That's beyond bad. This lineup is striking out at a 26% of the time, even though it is kind of skewed, guys, as 4 guys are below 20% striking out the lefties this year, with 5 guys that are just terrible. Yet the top 3 guys are technically good, so I've got to dig a little deeper and figure out if I'm just going to live bet Harrison and get in after the first inning. Because technically, if we're going to go by just strict K percentages, not break stuff down, he may have a tough time getting these guys. Doesn't mean he can't get them out. But if he goes 15 pitches or less, doesn't have a strikeout, the meat of the lineup is all coming, guys. And can he not strike out one of them twice? Yes, he can. But if he just strikes out the 5 guys who are striking out 30 to 50% of their at-bats versus lefties this year, like, it's doable, guys. So it's over or nothing, and you sure as fuck ain't going to see me ever ride a lefty under versus Pittsburgh. They put him at a 5.5 for a reason, guys, and that's the number where he should be. So there's no trappy trap shit out there. It's over or nothing, guys, strictly.
The other thing with Harrison is so far this year, his high for pitches is 93, and he's only forecasted if you take the average number of pitches per inning that he's thrown this year, which is 15 and a half, and you go by his innings prop, he's probably only going to throw 80 to 85 pitches today. So then you got to ask yourself, based on how the lineup is orchestrated, does that pass the smell test, right? Does 6 strikeouts and 80 pitches for this guy, who the only time he got it, the only time he's gone over 80 pitches and gotten this is the Nats on 4-9 of this year. So, like you said, can he? Sure. That's why I need to see a lineup. I need to see how many lefties are in for Pittsburgh. I need to see the whip. I don't have enough information to make an educated decision about this one. If you did want to or have a need to bet it right this second, yeah, it would be over or nothing.
Yes, sir. As you all guys, appreciate you all for showing up. 50 live in here today, guys, at one point. Smash that like button if you haven't. If you're new to this channel, subscribe. As always, this show is Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. And every Friday, this man next to me is here talking pitching props with me. Let them know where they can find you, what you got going on, and about your Discord.
Yeah. So at Spin Doc Sports, I have my tout play, which is the free play that I give out each day. We're 9-1 on the year so far, and lifetime over the last 3 seasons, hitting, I believe we're over 62, 63, something like that percent. So I'll have one of those dropping. I'm just going to run some final numbers here after the show is over. And yeah, we have a Discord, Win the Day VIP Discord. If anybody is interested in that, we do all sports and NBA, NFL, MLB, playoff stuff, props, all my stuff's in there. So hit me up if you're interested in that. And otherwise, be on the look for the tout prop. And yeah, let's get it. This card's taken a while to cut down because there's a lot of potentials. There's so many potentials.
This is probably my favorite card of the day, of the year. I mean, not
yeah,
day,
no, I see why.
But I don't know how many bets I'm gonna have, as I will tweet out when I pull the trigger. But I ain't fucking losing today, fellas. I told the people who pay me, like, this is such a great card. I'm not gonna press just to press, and we making money today. So get in where you fucking fit in. Smash the like if you haven't, and we shall see you guys next week. As I'm Sharpie's Bets, and if you don't know where to find me, then fucking I'll probably block you anyways.